Second thing I thought about this was Mitt Romney had a job tonight, and that was to come across as a plausible commander-in-chief. It would have been very damaging to him if there had been areas of the world and subject matters raised by the questions or raised by the president that he didn't seem to really know anything about. I didn't detect such a moment. He seemed to me smooth and fluid and well-informed about all the matters that came to hand, and he had something to say about all of them. I don't think it hurt him that he and the president didn't have broad disagreements about some of these matters, because I don't think these are the issues on which the election is likely to be decided. I do think that he did effectively use the economy and the weakness of the economy as a weapon in a debate about foreign policy and our position in the world. I would say this about the president. I thought the president was looking, as he well might have, for a default expression. These debates are about what the candidates say, but they're also about how they appear when the other person is talking, because there's so much of this is on a split screen. The president had a very intent look on his face. I wouldn't describe it as a mean look. I would describe it as a man looking for opportunities to strike. Governor Romney, it seems to me, has this kind of benign default expression in which he appears to be interested most of the time. He has a slight smile on his face, but not a smug one. I wonder if his was not the more attractive default expression, because that kind of thing matters. I thought the president did well. I thought he argued his points well, but I thought he was burdened time and again by the record. It's very difficult to talk about how well you're going to do against Iran when Iran's nuclear program, which you've pledged to stop, is still going on. It's very hard to talk about the strength of the economy when we all know the economy is not strong. So I thought that the president did a good job arguing what, because of circumstances, may be the weaker case.
Chris, a number of fact checks along the way.
Yeah, let me first give you my general opinion, and that was, I thought in the middle of the debate that if I'd been on a desert island for the last 4 years and I had just been parachuted into this debate, I would have thought the guy that turned out to be Mitt Romney was the president protecting a lead, and that Barack Obama was the challenger trying somewhat desperately to catch up. Obama was slashing, was personal, was cutting. I thought that Romney was big picture, seemed to have much more of an agenda for the future than the president did. And I emailed one of his top aides in the course of the debate and said, what's behind this strategy? And clearly he was not taking the bait, not getting into fights with Barack Obama. And this official said this is all Mitt Romney's idea. This is how he wants to conduct this debate. Now let's get into some fact-checking. The first fact on which they disagreed had to do with this question as to whether or not the president charged Mitt Romney wanted to keep troops in Iraq after the vast majority were pulled out. Let's play the clip.
You and I agreed, I believe, that there should have been a status of forces agreement. Did you? Oh, you didn't? You didn't want a status of forces agreement?
No. What I would not have done is left 10,000 troops in Iraq that would tie us down. That certainly would not help us in the Middle East.
I'm sorry. You actually there was an effort on the part of the president to have a status of forces agreement.
Well, in fact, I think you have to give the points to Mitt Romney on that, provided as part of the troop withdrawal by George W. Bush and in a deal with the Iraqi prime minister, is that there would be a status of forces agreement and that there would be a residual force. There was talk of it as little as 5,000. The military wanted closer to 20,000. The person put in charge of it was Joe Biden, the vice president. And at one point he said, I'll bet you my vice presidency, Maliki, the Iraqi prime minister, will extend the status of forces agreement, but it all fell apart. They never got it, but it's clear Romney was right, Obama was wrong. Obama wanted and failed to get a status of forces agreement. The other thing, and we talked about this before, this very cutting moment when Romney was talking about how Obama was going to gut the military, and Obama said, well, you don't understand what the military is today. Let's play that.
I think Governor Romney maybe hasn't spent enough time looking at how our military works. You mentioned the Navy, for example, and that we have fewer ships than we did in 1916. Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets because the nature of our military has changed. We have these things called aircraft carriers where planes land on them. We have these ships that go underwater, nuclear submarines.
Well, as it turns out, in the middle of the debate, after he heard this, a Marine tweeted Fox News and said the Marines still use bayonets. So it may not be clear who doesn't understand what the military currently uses. Finally, very briefly,